the conversation. All right, so I will talk about my display here. As you can see the map, I think some of you have seen this map. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. It's all the tribes and language groups of the Aboriginal people. So when settlement come here, all these nations were all over this ancient land. And the people are still there today, from generation to generation. And as you can see that.
Would you like me to hold it up?
Yeah, so when they say that the land was, as you say, terra nullius, as I say it, no man's land, now you can see the map. There was people here because we were different in skin colour, we didn't look the same, we didn't dress the same, we didn't speak the same. But we were all human. Remember that the Bible says that God created man in his own image, and yet we were men and women too, just because we were different in colour and in language. But as you can see the map there, Aboriginal people lived here for a long, long time. Now we're right down the bottom there. I think it's got the, I don't know if it's got Kurnai Nation. Yep, Kurnai Nation. But we break that into two, we say Gunaikurnai. And then you've got the tribes, the language groups of the Gunaikurnai. That is the Brayakalong, Brabalong, Bratalong, Croatalong, and Tututulong. That's how I remember it, the 5 language groups. And they're written down there. And from those language groups, there are more language groups too. As different tribes did speak different language, they had different symbols, different ceremonies, they would come together and make their own little language groups as well. I guess forming like a little Creole language amongst themselves. Now here, my grandparents were raised, well, my mother was born at Lake Tyers, and my grandparents were there. And they would make maps and boomerangs as an art and sell them to tourists. Now remember back then when the mission days come, the people were not allowed to do culture, they weren't allowed to speak language, they were not allowed to practice a lot of things, they had to learn a different way of living, which was not their way. And so they turned everything into art. They would make boomerangs, and you can see the emus and the koala on here, and also maps. As I said before, it's got different symbols. You can see little different artworks there. We have stories to the map and to the boomerang. My brother and I, we were told we weren't allowed to touch these artefacts. We didn't know how special they were. We just thought, oh, they're Aboriginal artefacts. Let's go and have a look and let's play with them. Yeah. Oh, and they used to say the boomerang can fly. Let's see if this boomerang can really fly. So one windy day, my brother and I, we went and got the boomerang out when the parents went home. And we said, okay, let's test this boomerang and see if it could fly. So we threw the boomerang. I think it broke the window and broke the boomerang a little bit. See the crack in it? Yeah. We weren't allowed to touch these artefacts until we were like old. And I was, it was passed down to me from my mother. As you can see, my initials is on there, K, so I knew it belonged to me. Yeah, so that's the boomerang. And this is what we've got. A lot of these are in museums now, like they do have a lot of artefacts still in the museums. But we were grateful enough to able to have these with us to pass down to our children and grandchildren, but also just to share it, like with you fellas. That this is real, the Aboriginal people lived here for a long, long time. And they did practice culture and art. And here it is, and they did have symbols. Aboriginal tribes have different symbols, and you can see that within the artwork. So you can have a look at that later.